My coverage of CES 2023 is brought to you by Cooler Master, Kioxia, Gigabyte, and ASUS. Welcome back everyone to my continuing coverage of CES 2023. I'm here at ASUS. They are a sponsor, so they also have lots of stuff to cover. So we're going to start right over here with this monitor. The monitors are getting faster and faster, and ASUS was one of the earliest ones to debut like 240 hertz and then 360 hertz monitor. And now, see that? Not 500 hertz, no. 540 hertz. Now, JJ explained to me that when you have a 540 hertz monitor, and please bear in mind, there's a nice side-by-side here comparing it. There is a visual difference between the 144 hertz and the 540 hertz version. However, they have to completely redo the power delivery for the monitor to make sure the voltage maintains the same across both sides, so they don't have any latency across there because the pixels are refreshing so quickly. This is specifically the ROG Swift Pro PG248QP. It is being billed as the world's first 540 hertz gaming monitor. It's a 1080p display, 24.1-inch panel, and of course has G-Sync built in, as well as an ASUS ESS quad DAC. So if you're going to connect a high-end headset to this, it actually does have good audio throughput. Next we have a case, a very big case. This is the Hyperion, specifically the Hyperion 701, and you might notice it's a big boy. Look at that. It's one of these cases that has a massive metal frame, and actually this sort of X. Notice the X, that's part of their design aesthetic that they're continuing throughout the case. So since it's so large, you want to be able to carry it, which is why they put the handles across the top. This is actually the successor to the Helios case, and a couple different changes they made this time around with support for 420 millimeter radiators at the top and the front. And it's actually got this Republic of Gamers sort of plate right there. That is actually an RGB backlit panel. ASUS is providing people who want to remake panels, so you can actually 3D print a separate panel for that, and you can position it right there, or you can actually swap that out and put a radiator right there if you wanted to, but it's better to have radiators on the front and the top in this case. But you can pop that out and you can actually just have it externally in your setup somewhere if you wanted to, and still have the RGB accents. JJ is subtly opening this drawer down here. Just an excellent use of space for a little bit of extra storage. They've included a drawer, and you can tuck a screwdriver in there even, or put your case accessories there side by side. Now you might notice this is an entirely kitted out system in here, of course. This is the ASUS Strix RTX 4090 graphics card. These cards, the 4090s, you've probably heard, they're very big, they're sizable. So having a case that is a little bit bigger allows the 4090 to sort of nestle in there and feel a little bit more at home, a little bit less constrained, and even provides a little bit more space for routing your 12VH power cable. This down here doesn't come with this case. This is called the Herculex. It's an RGB anti-sag bracket, but the case also has an integrated anti-sag bracket that's a little bit more stealth that's there at the back, so you could use that if you don't want to upgrade yourself to an RGB enabled one. As you can see, there's plenty of ventilation across the top of the case. It's got the fold out side panels on either side that sort of fold out like wings. Plenty of cable management space back here. There's also an integrated ARGB and fan controller. And look at the I/O out here. ASUS, if you don't know, they make lots of different stuff like motherboards and everything. So they make some of the only motherboards available that have dual USB Type-C front panel connectors, and they have integrated 2 of them onto this case. And these are not 10 gigabit, they are full 20 gigabit capable connectors. So that's a really nice assortment of I/O here on the front of the case too. Over here we have the Tough Gaming GT502 case, and this is a case that uses a layout that was popularized by the Lian Li O11D that Der Bauer worked with them on. ASUS has made a new version of it, and this one is actually out, should be available right now or very soon. But to make the GT502 a little bit more distinct from some of the other versions of this style chassis that you might have seen, they've included a couple handle straps here across the top, so much easier for transportation to lift and move the case, especially after you have an entire build installed there. The build that's installed in this case right now is a full Tough Gaming build, and you might notice this Tough Gaming all-in-one liquid cooler. That might be a new product that's not quite out yet, that maybe you're seeing here for the first time. It's got the pump integrated in line with the tubing right there. But other than that, it's a beautiful build with some yellow RGB lighting. And this case is not just going to be available in the black version that you see here, but they also have an all-white version. And the cool thing about the all-white version is they went all out with making it all white. So all the cables, all the front panel connectors, all of the cable routing grommets and everything are either going to be white or very light gray. Lots of attention to detail with this case. There's a little bit of Tough Gaming branding lighting here across the front. There is a USB Type-C connector, and they also have a unique feature of this case, which is that the opposite side panel in the right-hand chamber over here has a radiator mount on it. So right now they have a 360mm radiator across the top here, but you could actually route the tubing back through to sort of separate your GPU cooling area with the heat from your CPU by taking that heat from the CPU and outputting it over on that side panel. And that's just another unique feature that distinguishes this case from some of the others that are out there on the market right now. Let's talk about mice. This is the ROG Harpe Ace Aim Lab Edition, which is a lot of words, but this is a very lightweight mouse. Here it is in the stock trim right here, but it also comes with grip tape that you can apply if you want to. So this is the one with the grip tape, gives it a different feel. ASUS said that they actually developed like a new type of plastic that the housing of this mouse is made out of, which has a very nice feel, but it's also incredibly lightweight. So even though this has a 36,000 DPI ROG aim point optical sensor integrated, as well as a battery that supports up to 90 hours of use, it only weighs 54 grams. It also supports tri-mode connectivity. So you got a switch over here. You can connect directly via USB Type-C. You can connect via Bluetooth, or you can connect via wireless 2.4 gigahertz. And I think all wireless mouse should have a little slot to hold the wireless nub so you don't lose it if you take it on the go in particular. And this has a magnetic one integrated there at the back too. There's a little bit of RGB on the scroll wheel there. And then a unique thing about this mouse that you might not know just from looking at it is they actually bin the switches. You might not know, but the clicky switches that are manufactured do have some variance in tolerance. So they bin both the switches as well as the optical sensor to make sure that they have limited variance between them. In fact, less than 5 grams of force difference between the two switches and less than 1% CPI deviation for the optical sensor as well, to make sure that if you're getting a Harpe Ace Aim Lab Edition mouse, you're going to get a really high quality one that suits your needs. Oh, and you might wonder why it's called the Aim Lab Edition. Well, that's because it features integration directly with the Aim Lab software. They also have the ROG Hone Ace Aim Lab Edition mouse pad right here, and that's going to have measurements. So if you have ever used Aim Lab before, it helps you be better at FPS gaming. There's a bunch of different activities and training exercises you can do. And in particular, a lot of people don't really know how to set up their mouse. They might just plug it in and start playing with it, and then there might be some advantages that could be gained by actually adjusting the settings. So sensitivity, mouse DPI, angle tuning, and liftoff distance, all of those can be trained with the software. You can use the measurements here and the mouse itself to help run through that software and basically make yourself a better gamer. And then you can directly program the mouse with those settings too. Really nice. Let's talk about keyboards next. This is the ROG Falchion Ace, and this one is actually already out, right?
Yes, this just came out.
This one's out and available. It's a 65% keyboard, so it's on the smaller side. It, of course, has mechanical key switches. So RGB lighting, of course, and it's a white keyboard. Factory pre-lubed ROG NX mechanical switches on this one, and it's got a touch panel on the side. So whereas with a lot of 65% keyboards, you might lose direct access to certain things like adjusting your volume and that sort of thing, this is a touchpad on the side, and you can reprogram that to do volume or other functions as well. We also have dual USB Type-C connectors there, so plug it on either side depending on where your computer is located on your setup. But a unique feature of this keyboard that I sort of accidentally stumbled across was I picked it up and it was sitting like this, and I was like, wait, oh, there's an extra piece down there. Do any of you guys have cats or kids or other animals who might run across your keyboard or spill stuff on it? Look, it's got a cover. Pop the cover on right there. Still got your ROG logo so you can know who made your keyboard, and helps keep it protected while not in use. And JJ was just pointing out that when it's cradled in this right here, it gives a nice diffused look to the RGB LEDs beneath. Let's talk about keyboards made for like keyboard enthusiasts and people who are really into maybe building their own keyboard. The DIY keyboard market has really exploded, but it can also be fairly expensive to get a full setup premium keyboard, and then it can take a lot of time to clean your switches and lube them and say nice things to them. I don't know what people do specifically to their switches to make sure that they act right, but the ROG Azoth, which is the keyboard that we're looking at right now, is basically designed for that type of user. So first off, for sound dampening and vibration dampening, this actually has sort of a suspension mount system. It is a gasket mount that holds it in the chassis right here, and it's got 3 levels of sound dampening. The gasket mount itself, the foam pad right here that you can see, which is which I just, that feels
There's
so
three
nice.
different types. There's poron, there's silicon, and then there's a foam. So 3 different types.
What is the atomic makeup of those? JJ,
They're just there
as you
for
can
different
see,
purposes. Just
we use the Large Hadron Collider to create an entirely...
accelerated it exactly, you know.
But I really like that they've given you a nice breakout look at some of the internals and some of the separation again between the tray for the keyboard itself and the base of the unit. And you can see up here in the top right, there's a screen because it's ASUS ROG, they like to put screens on just about anything, but they are also often quite useful. So as you can see up here in the top right, you got a little adjustment thing. So you can do this for your typical volume up, down, mute and stuff. You could also, of course, make your own animation there if you wanted it to look pretty. You could have it show system stats and that sort of thing. And it's even got a built-in always-on small display there for your connection mode as well as the battery life. And the multifunction knob here, you can also push in and tap to access different functions. So that's very useful as well. And it comes with this. Look at this full kit. People spend thousands of dollars from my understanding. I haven't done much custom keyboard work, so I'm probably exaggerating there a little bit. But this has the full kit that you might need to like lube up your keys. It's got this kit of lube right here, Krytox 205, which is a specific kind of lube, which I am not familiar with because again, I haven't done this, but they give you the lube right there. Any product that comes with built-in lube, I'm a fan of, so I appreciate that. They've also included a tray here for your switches to go on, and it gives them a nice bath. It's like a day at the spa for your switches, really. Is this the keycap puller? It's actually a high-quality metal one that works and doesn't feel like it's going to break your keys or fling them all over the place. A nice fine tip brush here. For what does this do?
This is your opener.
The keycap opener. You know, if they're misbehaving and you need them to open up, you use that as well. So the ROG Azoth, I would say, is ASUS ROG's their love letter to like the custom keyboard market and the people who have gotten into that, but maybe want to get into it, but don't want to spend like $400 or something like that. It's also tri-mode, just like the Harpe Ace mouse that we showed you. 3 ways to connect: Bluetooth, direct USB connectivity, or of course your standard Wi-Fi connection. Check this out, the Raikiri Pro. ASUS made an Xbox controller, a PC controller. It's of course compatible with Xbox, and it's also Microsoft certified for compatibility for PC gaming. Again, connecting in 3 different ways to your system. So again, tri-mode connectivity, you got wired USB-C, can connect via Bluetooth, or you can do 2.4 gigahertz wireless. It's got the full complement of buttons and knobs and sticks, as you might notice for lots of Xbox controllers that are out there. It also has controls for your audio connectivity. You can mute right here. It's got a built-in jack here, so you can plug in a headset if you desire. Did I mention the OLED display? Again, ASUS ROG product. They're going to put an OLED display in there if you want. A unique feature here up at the top is these switches right here. So for your triggers, which are often used in racing games for like acceleration, you can switch it that way, and that will allow you to press it down all the way, full range of motion. Or if you're playing a shooter or something like that where you don't necessarily need that range of motion analog, you can switch that off. And it cuts the motion a little bit short there, so you can use that more in a standard button mode. I thought that was unique. There's some additional buttons down here at the bottom. You can program those, you can remap them if you want. And of course you can control pretty much all the functions of this mouse: customization, button remapping, change the joystick sensitivity, and you can do all that in the ASUS ROG Armory Crate software. And here is, like, I showed you the 540 hertz monitor. This one, I think, might be my favorite, even though the refresh rate isn't as high. This is the ROG Swift OLED PG27AQDM. This is a 1440p OLED gaming display. So you can tell it's OLED. I mean, I can tell it's OLED just by looking at it because like the dark areas of the screen over here are so nice and black. So apart from OLED, which has just a bunch of inherent built-in benefits, the resolution here, 2560 by 1440, very solid. You don't need like the highest end RTX 4090 to drive that, especially at higher refresh rates, since it does have a 240 hertz refresh rate. But you also get other benefits of OLED, like excellent color reproduction, 99% of the DCI-P3 color gamut, HDR support. This is a FreeSync premium monitor, and it has an anti-glare micro texture coating to reduce reflections for accurate colors across the front of the panel. An ultra-fast 0.03 millisecond response time. That's peak, mind you, but that is still pretty fast, as well as a peak brightness of 1000 nits. They also have a new stand, a slightly redesigned stand. You guys may or may not notice that depending on how many ASUS ROG monitor stands you've looked at. It still has the downward firing LED that's RGB controllable, so you can change the color of that, but just a slightly different look that still allows for full range of motion with the monitor. And for on-screen display controls, it's got a little knob right there at the bottom, which I think is the greatest position to have your control knob for monitor controls. Or you could use their display widget software, which provides OSD support in Windows, so you can control all those functions, not necessarily with the knob down there at the bottom, but directly in Windows, which is especially great if you have different monitor profiles that you like to switch between very often. And now I'm relaxing, sitting here, kicking back in an ASUS ROG chair. Did you know that ASUS had a chair in the works? It's called the ROG Destrier, and both Joe and I had a chance to sit our butts down in it, and it's quite comfortable. My butt is pleased, I will say. We got a bunch of stats about this chair, but you might notice a few features like it has a mesh back, not a solid back, so it's breathable. So if you're playing games and you're prone to getting a little overworked, you're not gonna get all sweaty, it's breathable. But it also has this sort of exoskeleton that goes down the back to support that mesh to make sure it's nice and rigid, and it also has a little bit of bow, and it's also got lumbar support back there. Another important thing for sitting in chairs. Lumbar support, make sure you have some. This piece right back here is called an acoustic panel. It's adjustable. They said this chair supports people with weights up to about 330 pounds, heights up to 6'1" or 6'2" comfortably. And this panel can be adjusted up and down. It's supposed to block some ambient sound that might be coming through as you're gaming or doing other activities in the chair. It's also got a built-in pillow and just adjustability everywhere. Like all the adjustable things are like 4D, four-way adjustable to go up and down and back and forth. A nice cushion elbow rest here, including an additional thicker part here for your elbows themselves. And one thing I really like is that the adjustments are all handled by these straps that stick out, and the straps say what they are and what they do. So you know when you're pushing things up or down that you're adjusting, like this part, which is the tilt. This is the tilt, by the way. It's got 4 ranges of tilt control here, and if you pull it up, it will lock into place. But again, that's the ROG Destrier. We don't know what the price is going to be yet, but it should be available in Q2. Guys, they actually have a lot more stuff here that I'm not even covering yet, so let me know in the comments what you'd like me to show you in the next, say, few weeks or months, because ASUS has offered to send me some samples of various things. Are you interested in motherboards? Are you interested in peripherals? Are you interested in their cases, the chair, the monitors? So many other categories that ASUS has products of, so let me know down in the comments below. I'd like to say a big thank you to ASUS, as well as Gigabyte, Cooler Master, and Kioxia for sponsoring my coverage of CES 2023. I have lots more videos coming at you real soon. We'll see you then. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, all those things. See you later.